As stated before in a previous video, games based off of movies can be a catastrophic failure due to money-grubbing studio execs and very limited time frames for development. But in some rare cases, video games that are given enough time, care, and post-developmental quality control, a rose can blossom from its thorny bush. Today we take a look at the top 5 best video games based on movies. When there's something strange in the neighborhood, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters the video game. This is the real deal, people. This isn't just some offshoot copycat or some sort of twisted alternate reality. This is a game that is completely canon with the lore of Ghostbusters. How do I know? Well, it was written by Dan Aykroyd and the late Harold Ramis, so there's that. Plus the fact that most of the original characters from the films come back to reprise their speaking roles. I say most because, for some reason, Rick Moranis just won't associate himself with the franchise anymore. Mr. Aykroyd said that this game is essentially the third movie. And it wasn't just some money-hungry studio game either, because the last movie made about Ghostbusters was filmed about 2 decades prior to the game's release. And can you believe that it was made by Atari of all folks? You play as the Rookie, a new recruit into the Ghostbusters team. You explore the environments of each level, seeking out paranormal activities in Ghost. The game has an impressive presentation and is loaded with tons of nostalgic fun. Ghostbusters the video game has been met with favorable reviews, and has even been described as a love letter to Ghostbusters fans. And that Proton pack is freaking amazing. Interesting side note, the first team to develop the game was Zootfly. In 2006, they put out footage of the game all over the internet, showcasing what they had done so far. But there was one tiny little problem. They didn't own the rights to use Ghostbusters in any fashion, and could never acquire said rights. So instead of scrapping the game they had been working on for years, they changed the premise and the characters, renaming it Tymo. It has been sitting in development limbo since 2007 and will probably never come out to see the light of day. Some people will say that Spider-Man 2 for the original Xbox and PS2 is on the list only because compared to the first one, it's a masterpiece. But if they actually played it, they would realize that it's a superb and fun game that everybody can enjoy. Released in 2004, Spider-Man 2 was a sight for sore eyes after playing Bad Boys Miami Takedown.
I can feel you staring at me and it's making my skin crawl. Just ask the damn question, you nosy mother.
I still have night terrors about that game. Of course, you pick up the controller and play as Peter Parker, who is voiced by Tobey Maguire himself, fighting the misguided Doc Ock and having lovers' quarrels with Kirsten Dunst. The controls are fluid, which makes battling baddies fun instead of dreadful. The game is a GTA-style sandbox, so you can decide to finish up the game quickly, going from mission to mission, or you can just swing around town kicking ass and taking names in a fully immersive Manhattan setting. The most popular aspect of the game is the web-swinging mechanic, where Spider-Man has to shoot webbing at an actual building, unlike previous games where he would shoot up into the sky. What's he hanging from, a jumbo jet? In Spider-Man 2, beating up random evildoers hanging out on rooftops was satisfying to say the least. I don't care if you're waiting for the bus. There's a red icon over your head and I gots to take you out. The game stands the test of time as any gamer, young and old, can pick up this title and play with ease and enjoyment. When making a great game, it helps when you have awesome source material. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is an excellent movie based off of an equally excellent graphic novel series. So when the game came out, eyes widened, thumbs trembled, and voice boxes squeaked with delight. The Scott Pilgrim game is not just a really well-made title, but it is also the ultimate nod to 2D beat-em-up side-scrollers of yesteryear. The series creator Brian Lee O'Malley and the director of the film, Edgar Wright, were heavily involved in the development. Nothing was put into the game without their collective consent, which helped make the game an instant hit when it was released in 2010. There are tons of callbacks to old games in this title. It's a nostalgia overload. The game makes various references to classic video games such as River City Ransom, Mario, Kirby, Mega Man, and even Guitar Hero. Although the graphics are reminiscent to that of a 16-bit system, the animations are so fluid that one would compare it to a beautiful work of art. The colors pop, the sound effects are deep and profound, and of course the story is fun and inviting. As far as the soundtrack is concerned, I was totally blown away. Chiptune punk band Anamanaguchi crafted the score that transports you to the bright and bustling mall arcade you used to go to when you were younger. Some have complained that it doesn't offer online multiplayer, but I think that's a good thing. If you want to take advantage of the up to 4-player co-op, you need to get your friends over to your house and tell them to pick up the controllers. It's gonna be a fun time. Level up your character, uncover hidden goodies, and see how many old school references you can find while playing this magnificent treasure. GoldenEye 007 is arguably the godfather of multiplayer first-person shooter video games. Although it wasn't the first of its kind, it was definitely the best of its kind at the time of release in 1997. It is based off of the 1995 James Bond film GoldenEye and was exclusively released for the Nintendo 64 gaming console. Obviously, the graphics are dated beyond belief by the time you're watching this video, but when it first came out, people fell in love with its superior controls, replayability, and competitive gameplay. Single-player mode had its moments as well, putting you in the shoes of the world's greatest spy on his grandest mission of all time. Many of the missions are covert, so you'll find you have to avoid security cameras and make good use of your silencer. Whether they be search and destroy, recon, or simply escapes, 007 stays fresh by never having to do the same thing twice. Discovering all of Bond's different gadgets throughout the game was exciting, giving you different ways of killing the bad guys and beating the levels. Above all, GoldenEye 007 was applauded for bringing first-person shooters to the mainstream console audience. Before then, the only thing the Nintendo 64 was good for was Mario 64 and Mario Kart. Starting up a match with your buddies on a 4-way split screen was a timeless memory for millions of gamers worldwide. And don't you dare choose Oddjob as your character. That's considered cheating. To this day, GoldenEye 007 remains a masterpiece and a benchmark for competitive multiplayer gaming. BioWare, you magnificent beast. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is one of the greatest RPGs of all time. So imagine how high up on the list it is for games based on movies. Yep, all the way up. This game is from the same folks that made Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Released in 2003 for the Xbox and PC, Star Wars KOTOR became an instant hit. The game is considered the best Star Wars game for being immersive, interesting, and at the same time, fun. The story begins in the midst of a power struggle between the Republic and the Sith, an evil Imperial power that's encroaching on the Republic space. KOTOR is described as a prequel, although the events take place 4,000 years before the inception of the Empire. It gives you the choice of being the savior of the galaxy or the conqueror, depending on whether or not you're tempted by the dark side. One of the best attributes of the game is the hilarious commentary given to you by your droid, HK-47. When he's not answering your questions with underhanded snide remarks, he's calling you and all of your kind a meatbag.
Stupid, frail, non-compartmentalized organic meatbag. You show excellent logical skills. For a meatbag, he requires proof of good faith. We must make a contribution to his people that shows we are not a threat. Shall I blast him now, Master?
The game looks great, the voice acting is impeccable, and the combat mechanic just works. Some would say that you don't need to be a fan of Star Wars or of RPGs to appreciate all of the immersive qualities of this game. But if you are, all the better. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more Top 5.